Welcome everybody. We're here for December 17th, Veteran Mastermind, Real Estate Investment Mastermind. We're going to talk about planning 12 weeks to new level of success. Okay, so we're going to talk about who we are, do some BZs because some people have definitely earned them. We're going to talk about Operation During Resolve, the War Room, and then we're getting into our discussion, right? So who we are. So usually I bring up my pad and start drawing on it, but I don't have an easel today, so I'm gonna have to talk on it. So this group has been around for a little over 2 years now. It was started by myself and Gino in the summer of 2015. Yes, that would be 2 years. Summer of 2015. At that time, we had been going to the local RIA a lot. The conversation was, hey, what if we can get all the people that are active in this room all in one room at the same time? You know, that was the goal. Because we always noticed that it was always the same people getting the same deals over and over again. It's like the same 5%ers always up there talking on what they've done, what they've achieved. So we said, what can we do to get these people in a room? Talking with my now wife, you know, she kept noticing that I hit it off very easily with other veterans. You know, we tend to have a much more familial kind of relationship with one another. Fast forward, you know, with that, Gino's a veteran, I'm a veteran, I'm still serving. And we launched a workshop at first, and that lasted from the summer of 2015 to the fall of 2015, which is when this format was born. In this format, we are a mastermind, so the point of us coming in here is we all should be active investors or have an interest in being an active investor, and it's to learn from one another, you know, and it's to inspire one another to take action and keep taking action. So that's who we are, and without having to go through my usual drawing of who we are. BZs, Gino just closed on a deal last week, so give him a round of applause. This would be, you know, and he just closed on a rehab last summer, so we're rolling. Yep. He's having a kick-ass year this year, so you know, much love to him. And Tom, you know, you just closed on something, didn't you?
October.
Yeah, well, there you go. That counts. And young Josh, I don't know where he's at right now, but last we spoke, he was closing on something. So you know, tip your hats.
A month ago.
A month ago. Yep.
Nice.
Okay, Operation Enduring Resolve. Let's see, I've got a cheat here real fast because I don't think that's the order I've got that stuff on. Well, screw it, let's go. All right, yeah, Operation Enduring Resolve. So, official launch date is this upcoming Monday. What is it? To refresh it, well, you know, like someone be refreshing everybody's mind. So we've had a couple of members come in and they've been here for 2 or 3 months and then getting deals, right? The question came again of, well, how do we get people from the desire stage to the action stage much faster? You know, that's what this group is supposed to be about. It's supposed to be about us learning and actually doing and learning from each other because we're doing, not just learning. It's not it be the Luis, Gino, Ralph, Tom, John club, you know, where we're all just kind of talking about our experiences. It should be everyone kind of contributing, you know, and learning. So off of that, we kicked off this Operation Enduring Resolve, where the intent is I am going to build a real estate investment company and have you all watch me do it. So where we stand with that, I got a website, www.operationenduringresolve, like you see up there, .com. There's nothing on it right now. There will be. I got social sites for it. I mean, we'll be using the Facebook Mastermind group for posting any activity, and a YouTube channel named Enduring Resolve without the operation. The story with that is I've got much bigger goals for that YouTube channel than just that named operation, right? Like as we get through this, you'll see that I'm going to use this as an example of what to do, how to set yourself up for the 12 weeks. I'm going to use that operation as an example for tonight's meeting. And the purpose of the talks, of these training moments, is really to spark conversation. It's not for me to stand here and teach. So if you have anything you can contribute or what you're doing, and I'll ping you and ask questions. But what I'd like to talk on here is discuss categories. Discuss what is it that you want to watch me do. So right now I've got, well, these are the categories I've got. I've got mindset, business elements, personal development. Those are my big three. And within that, the business elements, that what I'm talking on there is lead generation, finance, that's personal finance and business finance, and financing, acquisitions, resources, and planning and network. And within that were the 4 models that this is our official book for the club, the Mastermind. 4 of those things that I said are straight out of this book, meaning got the network model, financial model, network model, lead generation, and the acquisitions model. So I am gonna pretty much implement this book. This is not really a how-to book, it's a modeling book, it's a what to do book. Well, I am gonna take that and make it a how-to book, okay? Is there any topics off the top of your guys' heads that you wanna hear about or wanna see me do right now? And this could also develop as we go through kind of our discussion tonight. But does anything jump out at y'all right now?
Yeah, you can, what's always big for the commercial world is raising capital.
Raising capital.
Raising, I guess in pooling capital or in finding investors.
Finding investors.
And that's a big topic I'm reading right now.
Can you elaborate a little more on what it is that you're actually trying to do?
So raising capital, that can go in several ways. So capital formation for a syndication, for example, okay? It can go just so before you have a deal to have high net worth investors who are kind of ready, they know what you're about, they know what your parameters are, your criteria are, that you can call on your buyers list or your investors list, so that when it's time you find the deal, that you can move on it. One of the things that I'm going to next year in March is something called the Small Balance Investors Conference, and it'll be my first time going. But generally, small balance is really between $3 to $20 million deals. Is what they call small balance, and it's kind of like networking and you kind of learning. It's a conference. But one of the biggest parts about it is that they've pulled a lot of investors, high net worth investors and family offices attend to. And if you earn the right, they'll allow you to begin pitch. So someone bring their pitch deck onto the stage. They can pitch the deal, or while you're around in the conference, you can be creating your list of more investors who.
What does that mean?
A lot of it is dealing with pulling capital together, maybe a fund, but it doesn't have to be a fund. It can be joint venture as well.
What does it mean to earn the right?
They're going to look, make sure you know what you're doing. I guess the guy's named Matt Burke. I think he's like the CEO of Fairway America. So it's a real estate private equity group that does it. Okay. And so earn the right is that, okay, what does your pitch deck look like? What have you done? Because I'm going to put you in front of people who close deals. They got money. So I don't want to just have it fun. So.
Okay. What's up, Jay?
I just wanted to piggyback on John, right?
Yep.
What John was talking about. So from a raising capital perspective, maybe a subcategory under that is dealing with the Securities and Exchange Commission.
Yeah.
Because when you talk about syndication, a lot of that stuff with pooling money in syndication, accredited investors, the investors that he was kind of referring to, and you have sophisticated investors, there's guidelines that you need to make sure that you're aware of as a business owner from the Securities and Exchange Commission. And especially when you get to the point where you start pooling and potentially cross state lines and things like that. Mm-hmm. So you have the state SEC as well as the federal SEC. So that could be like a subcategory under that, because those are things that you need to be aware of as a business owner when you're going to look for people to help you to fund your deals.
Okay.
You gotta stay in compliance.
Okay. All right. I've added those, and we'll probably have a couple more as I go through this. But yeah, those are real good ones.
I have something I'd like to. I know he's talking about raising capital for commercial, and I'd love to one day do something in commercial world. But today I'm working on residential.
So
you can do it for that.
Yeah.
But what I'm concerned in is how. So a lot of investors, they tend to work on a deal at a time
Mhm.
and one finish. What I am interested in is how can you do multiple deals at the same time? Where you get the money? Because not one investor is gonna have, $1 million in their pocket and fund, 5 different projects at the same time.
Oh,
know?
yeah, well, they're out there.
Fund model.
Yeah, how do you establish yourself? I mean, this is action. This is what I wanna do.
Yeah.
Right? Eventually, I wanna get into, I wanna do a deal at a time to kind of learn
Mhm.
and get good.
Okay.
I know I'm still new, but my ultimate goal is to push myself into a model where the flow of funds is it comes from different sources.
Mhm.
And that's the eventual track that I'm building myself up to. But even if I'm doing my first deal, where do you get that gap funding? Everybody talks about hard money, some people talk about private money, then there's always that gap funding, right?
Mhm.
That you need, especially if you're in Virginia, there's $100,000 you might need
Mhm.
in gap.
Yeah,
So where do you get that money?
okay.
And that's the challenge that I'm facing, is that I'm making offers, but I'm being challenged on a consistent basis where I come up with a $50,000, $100,000 more.
Well, I tell you what, Ash, and that's actually when we're like, what style of investing, that's kind of where I would like to go, because that cap funding, I think you might have said something comes from a capital provider. It's just one place you can get it from. So whether you're doing commercial or residential, what you sounded like you were describing to me is what we call a fund model, where you can do multiple deals. You have multiple investors. There's some that like some of your residential package, and some just like the distressed or the multifamily. But generally, they'll have like a capital provider who in between, who has institutional people they know, and there'll be a dealer broker, and of course within SEC guidelines, and they can pull that capital over you. So very similar like that hard money, but kind of private money or placement agent,
Yep.
kind of give those names. So, and that's why I said raising, because I think the higher you get, the more you need access to capital.
Well, I'll tell you, and to kind of touch on your point, so raising capital, there is really no distinction as far as the SEC is concerned as to, where you're getting your money from, it's how you're doing it, So, the commercial and residential side, it's going to be about the same, So, I wouldn't worry about, but I'll get into that and I'll see what I can drum up and.
But I think it's a niche within the raising capital umbrella. Because there's the raising capital part of, I'm gonna buy a fix and flip, the acquisition price is $400,000. Conventional, doesn't matter, hard money lender, you name it, they're gonna want you to come in with 10 to 20% of skin in the game.
Mhm.
That's the money, if I understand your question correctly, that's the money he's trying to find.
Oh, the
Because
10%.
a lot of hard money lenders won't take second position.
Yeah,
So if you go and there's very few out there that'll actually finance 100% of the acquisition price plus the rehab cost, and then cost you usually a substantial portion of your profit. Now, if you got a good profit built into it, it's not a big, you just made $40,000 with an infinite return because you have no money in it.
yeah.
But I think that's the niche, and so the raising capital part of how do I find them, how do I generate the private investors, the hard money lenders, whatever it is, my dentist who has $200,000 to invest, how do I pool that? That's the overarching, but the other part is how do I cover that spread that I don't have $40,000 or $100,000 to access.
Okay.
So now I've got a deal that I can't execute because I'm missing 10 or 20% of the acquisition.
And I've
It
lost
looks
a
like
couple of
Gino's,
deals. I've lost a couple of deals because of that. I came up short. I
Okay.
couldn't raise enough capital because of that gap funding.
Okay. Looks like Gino's chomping at the bit to.
I was just gonna ask a question, since we're touching on this topic, is this gonna be one of our topics for this evening? Because I can share a lot of information.
Well, we can. Let's power through this stuff, and we can come back to it. I mean, and that's one of the things that once we turned the cameras off and everything was develop a plan for next year. So this, I don't expect this to. I really try not to have the presentation take up the whole meeting. But yeah, but it's. We'll also see what y'all want to have for next year, because the nice thing is it's December, right? So we can say from January, December of 2018, what we want our meetings to be and what the focus would be. And what would be even better, you know, and then we don't have to record stuff, but if you have an interest in a specific area, John, you know, like raising capital, and you research the heck out of it, and you just come up here and go, hey, this is what I learned, you know, and share your knowledge, you know, because like I said, like with me, I'm not the know-it-all. I've been doing this for a minute, but you know, I'm not the know-it-all. So if you guys, you know, pick up knowledge as you go along and you can contribute to the group, you know, that'll definitely be very much appreciated. All right.
Mastermind.
All right. Yeah, it's Mastermind.
Exactly.
All right. So some of you already saw that, but kicking it off, and this is part of our conversations too. Starting next month, January of 2018, we're going to start having a war room. Okay. War room for the non-initiated. So I don't know how many people do or do not know. I don't know what the Navy calls it the ward room. I should know that a lot faster than that.
You call it war rooms.
Yeah. We call it a ready room in the aviation world. It's usually where the officers sit around and, you know, we get a reputation of us not working for a living, right? But
Is that room in the Army? Is it war?
I think it's a war room in the Army too.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, it's a war room. Yeah. So the war room is you earn your way into it. All right. So yeah, we have our monthly meetings. We come in, we share, we learn from one another. This is going to be a weekly thing. It's going to be, you know, Gina and I used to do this a while ago and kind of fell apart. This is going to be a lot more structured than what we do here. So we're going to do it over Google Hangouts. You don't have to leave your home. You don't have to come and try to find parking anywhere. It's your home. No more than 15 members. There are requirements to join the Mastermind, as you can see the war room, as you see up there. You have to have attended at least 6 of these group meetings. So usually the standing rule is you come to one of our meetings and that's it, you're a member for life, right? You know, if you ever need anything from the group, we're here for you. It doesn't matter if, you know, it takes you a year to come back, right?
Hey, I take offense to that topic.
But you know, if you ever need anything, we're here for you. To enter the war room though, you have to have at least attended, doesn't have to be consecutive, but you have to have at least have been here for 6 meetings so you know who it is that is usually in the room and who would most likely be on these calls with. That is waiverable down to 3 months, given that the members of the war room you know, vote you in. You have to have completed a deal, you know, win or lose. You know, even if you lost money on it, you know, you've got quality information to share. You know, yeah, you've got a learning experience. So that has to be within the last 12 months, and that's a rolling 12 months. All right. So it's you've got to be able to, and that's the rolling is because, you know, it's not like, oh, I got a deal in December. I haven't done jack squat from January to July, but I'm on these calls. You know, the point is, you know, we want people that we want to do case studies on these calls. All right, and it must be actively pursuing deals. All right, that's marketing, prospecting, and making offers. Okay.
Be an English spell checker, but it's non-waiverable, not unwaiverable.
It's unwaiverable in my world. Okay. So the way I see it's structured is going to be there's 3 phases to it all. You know, we're going to come in and it's going to be similar to how we were when we first started this group, and it became a lot more free flowing like we are now. But it's going to be 1 minute, no more than 1 minute per person for them to say what their tasks were since our last conversation, what they did and didn't achieve, and if there's time, why. But you only got 1 minute, and it's really more for an accountability thing. It's just, you know, kind of how we did, you know, in our calls before. Just what were your tasks? Did you get it done? Did you not get it done? You know, and we'll scold you if most of your tasks didn't get done, right? Then we'll do a case study, meaning we'll find somebody within the war room that's got a deal, and there's these priorities already here, right? We're gonna, if you've got a deal that's being negotiated, you got a deal that is undergoing due diligence, you got a deal that's undergoing rehab or a deal that's awaiting closing. Those are the priorities. So depending on where you are there, that's who we're gonna grab for the case study. So you're gonna just talk on what's happening in your deal, what your challenges are, and we all come together to kind of help you get through it, right? And then we'll, again, establish tasks and goals for the next call, right? And it doesn't have to be tasks plural, because I see this happening once a week. If we have to cut back and do it bi-weekly, but it's going to be at least no less than bi-weekly, all right? And that's if you're interested. So you have to prove in some form or fashion that you are active, right? You have to give me a rejection offer, meaning you made an offer within the last rolling 12 months and it was rejected. You have to show me any type of marketing you're doing, be that direct mail, if you're doing calls, something that shows that you're active, that's it, unless I already know that you are. But there's only a handful of you that are in that boat. All right? So those are the two big things that are happening, right? Operation Enduring Resolve, like I said, I always want to kind of power through that. The goal is, once the website's fully going, you'll have to go on the website, and once I figure out how to do this, right? You're going to sign up your email so you can get information straight from the website, and I'll push it from there. I typically only send one email a week at most to the Mastermind group. Given the level of activity that I seek to achieve with Operation Enduring Resolve, to kind of show you all the level of activity you need to have to be successful, I feel like I'd be spamming people who wouldn't give a crap, almost cursed. So it's going to be, you sign up for Operation Enduring Resolve to get your stuff, see where we are, So that's not going to be the goal of me sending off to the Mastermind, is what's going on in that operation, okay? Does the Operation Enduring Resolve make sense to you, Ash? No? Okay, that's fine.
No,
Well,
it makes sense.
well,
I just don't think, based on your requirements, I can participate, so.
Well, no, you're probably thinking the War Room, but I mean, it's, Operation Enduring Resolve is a different thing. It's the follow me along thing.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
okay.
yeah. I just want to make sure I'm communicating clearly.
I felt it was both of this word all.
Oh, no, they're two separate things. Sorry. Yeah, see, that's why I asked.
Okay.
Yeah. So Operation Enduring Resolve is you follow me around as I build an investment business.
Okay.
The War Room is a subset of the Mastermind. So it's the most active members of the Mastermind getting together and
Got it.
war rooming it, right?
Okay. Now I understand.
Okay. All right, so the 12-week plan, right? I am stealing some concepts from the 12-week year. It's a book, great book. If you haven't read it, go read it. It talks on how, sales organizations and companies, their last quarter tend to be one of their strongest quarters, and that's because they just buckle down, and however short they are for that year, they just push and try to make it up, and they gain a lot of ground and sometimes even achieve their goals in the last quarter. And that's because they have a very focused, kind of mindset and deadline, and they've got an action plan that they're going to follow, right? So 12 weeks is ample time to give your business and your life a new direction. So it's not just business stuff. You can use this in your personal life, anything you want. It's applicable. Demands focused attention to a specific task. 10x, if you know what that is, you will. All right.
No,
Yeah. Does everybody else know what that is?
read the book.
Yeah. All right. It's on my regular rotation. Grant Cardone. Right. It's
Audiobook?
Yes.
both. Yes. So I've got it on audio and hard copy, and it's on regular rotation. So the concept of 10x is people are very good at setting conservative goals and making sure that, to kind of say, okay, this is what's realistic to be achieved, but we are not very good at determining the level of activity required to meet those goals, and that's where 10x comes in. Usually you need 10 times the activity that you think you do in order to achieve that, and you're going to see that with what's coming. I can tell you it's a stretch. I am going to be stretching myself insanely with the next couple of slides. All right. So it's the same effect as that vacation effect, right? You have all this stuff to do, but you keep lollygagging and not doing it. And then, but it's like day before the vacation, like it's like the day before vacation because people are killing it and clean up shop and do everything they need to do when they're done and ready to go on their vacation. So it's the vacation effect, right? Well, that's the attitude you need to kind of attack all this stuff. All right, so like I said, I'm going to use OER, Operation Enduring Resolve, as an example. OER for the first iteration is going to be a 16-week plan. Several reasons for that you'll see on there. I've got a lot of military obligations coming up, for one. Another one is I am confident in executing the business aspects of all of this. The last month or so has been me learning how to do the YouTube stuff, do the blog stuff, it's, I'm not losing, but I'm tying. I'm tying, So, and then we're going to restart that process in April as a 12-week iteration. So, no, I don't want you to do that. Okay, so this is in essence what it's a little bit of an eye chart. You're going to get this emailed. Don't worry about it.
Nice.
Right. So, it's a flow chart, right? Identify big why and establish objectives. That's the first thing we always have to do, right? Follow that into building a network. Follow that into defining a criteria. We're going to take the first week or two, maybe 3, to kind of establish this portion here. And once you pass this line here, that's not necessarily the point of no return, but that's the point of action. If you don't cross this line, nothing happens. And that first tier is prospecting, building a database, marketing. This is something that we do continuously. Everything that's below this line is happening, from weeks 3 to 16 in the project, right? While we're doing these things continuously, they're generating leads. Those leads, we go out and inspect properties, we interview sellers, engage our network, the people that we met up here. And off of all this activity, we make and negotiate offers, we make our acquisitions, and then we evaluate our results, repeat the whole process over again, okay? So this is what you'll see me do as, I keep wanting to move forward. All right, so this is this month, right? So these first 2 weeks, this is how I planned out my 12-week year, right? So using that same chart that I had up front, how do I lay this all out? So I said December, kick it off, December 11th. December 11th. I said, all right, I'll take all this time as back-end prep work, stuff that you personally probably wouldn't do. This is all that website stuff, trying to figure out how to do all this recording and posting to places, how I can communicate what's happening, because the goal of it is to also generate discussion as we go along, and this is as much for me personally as it is just for all of us. It's how, it's as us trying to push this mastermind to just the next level up. So this first week, like we said, the first 3 weeks here. For week 1, establish funding model and goals. That's what you'll see me do. So I feel like I'm going to get a little bit ahead on this, which is good because I don't know what my posting cycle is going to feel like once we get there. But I'm going to do my best to keep on top of all that and try to get as far ahead with all this. And maybe I do hold off so that you can kind of see me do this, well. Week 2, establish criteria and acquisition model. So establish funding model and goals. That goals I'm always writing, right? I'm always writing. I'm always journaling. Which, if you're not journaling, you should be journaling. I am always journaling. Got my book notes, my gratitude, my growth, and other stuff, learning. At any time you ask me what are my goals, I can pull them up. Like no kidding, I can open a page and read them to you. So that's why I say I think this is going to be more faster for me. But for you all, you need to formalize. This is what's going to dictate all the activity that's going to happen later. Establish criteria and acquisition model will be my second week. Then my third week, which is that week of Christmas, I'm going to use that to build lists, design mailings, and start marketing. So week 4, that is the first week of January. I like mailing in the first week. I don't think there's any study that tells us when the best week of the month to mail anything is. First, it's easier for me because it's a very pronounced and important day. You know, it's the first day of the month. So when it doesn't get done, I remember. You know, if I pick some arbitrary date, like the 7th or something, like, it ain't gonna happen. You know, like, I'm gonna miss it. So the goal is at the first week of every month, and you'll see this with the following months, is that's when I'm gonna do my mailings. I intend to mail no less than 1,000 records, and we'll get into that in lead generation as we go through this whole operation as to why these numbers are there. I didn't just pull them out of my you-know-what. There's mathematical, statistical reasons why they're up there. So 1,000 records mailed. Week 5 and week 5, 7, and 8. We'll talk them that way. I'm prospecting making 1,000 attempts. So an attempt, I'll have to define what that is, but in essence, it's me trying to find properties. So that's either me looking at 1,000 properties online that may be for sale. There aren't that many for sale because there aren't that many that exist for self-storage. That's me making phone calls. A phone call is an attempt. Is any action that I take to get business is an attempt. 1,000 times, yes. And I will show my hand now. It's not always just going to be only me. So I've got my whole family on board with this. So
Are you talking about like getting like a list to call? Is that what you're
Yes.
saying? Okay, so you just have a list and you
cold call.
You just cold call.
Yep.
But you're saying you're not gonna do 1,000 mailings, you're gonna do 1,000 attempts, so you might mail the first
So
week, you
it's
might call the next week, or
it's both. So I'm getting them both times. So I'm sending them 1,000 mailings. So right now I've got 6,000 records that I can prospect. I am going to send 1,000 of them a letter every month. Aside from that, I'm also going to be calling. And we'll see this as we get into lead gen, and I start kind of going through this process. 1,000 attempts, even if I just relied purely on cold calling, roughly 30 to 40% of those calls will actually be answered. Okay, so 1,000 attempts, it doesn't mean I succeed, right? It's just I made the attempt. So 30 to 40% of, if just talking purely phone calls, would actually even be picked up. Of those, maybe 10% of those may be people that have some level of interest. And out of the percentage of those is what I'll be able to convert, right? So the 1,000 is for a reason, but as far as to kind of answer your question is, yeah, so that would be a phone call. Stepping away from that, let's say I don't make 1,000 phone calls. It could be a mixture of. It could be 700 phone calls. I looked at 200 properties, and I did something else to touch 100 times, right? But it's 1,000 attempts. The phone calls are easy to track. The emails are easy to track. I've got to find a way to track I've got 60 websites that I can use to prospect on, meaning to go look for deals on. So I need to formalize some way so that I can tell y'all, hey, this is how much activity I did. You're actually going to be part of this too. Yeah, I hadn't thought of that. Well, I was thinking of AJ, but if you want to jump on,
I'll see.
Yeah.
Good time,
Yeah.
let it all soak in.
Yeah.
Can you elaborate a little bit, what is that 60 look? I mean, just the top 5 or 10?
Records coming from?
I'm sorry?
That's a lot of records.
So I'll answer Ash, and then I'll get to you, John. So, sorry, say your question one more time.
My question was, you said 60.
Uh-huh.
I've never heard of that high of a number for number of records.
Oh,
Can you give us, some of them, what the names of some of them are, just so we at least know what you're tracking?
sure. So it's 60 websites. So I was
60
going to go on 60 websites
Okay.
that list these types of properties, self-storage properties, for
Okay.
sale. Some of them are real estate websites. Some of them are business brokerage websites.
Okay.
So I don't know any off the top of my head yet.
Okay.
But those are the types of websites I'm looking at.
Sure.
to answer your question, 1,000 records?
No, I was talking about the 60 as well. How did you source 60? Where do we go to get the 60? I don't have 60.
Sure. So that comes from, and then, which is another reason for this operation, is that's what you get for investing in a program. So that, I wouldn't have known 60 websites either.
Okay.
I know that because the program that I'm following has 60, he tells you, go look on these 60 websites and prospect through them until you find some, right? So yeah, and that's where I know the websites. And if I can look something up, I will never memorize it, right? So that's no means. Yeah, if I can look something up, I'll never memorize it. But yeah, we'll have to talk and see, because it'd be cool to have, you, I don't know, Danielle, but but you kind of take on some of this too,
For sure.
Awesome. So AJ bought the same program. Well, I should say I bought the same program AJ did, because he was the inspiration, and like, no kidding, in all this. He showed up. He kind of came up to me. He was like, "Yeah, it's the mastermind." But he came up. He told me he wanted to do self-storage, and we had those conversations. Then I told him, hey, there's down at the Rio, we're gonna have a self-storage guy come and talk about the business. He came down. I thought it was pretty darn cool. Didn't expect you to buy anything. He did, and then it was like, oh boy, now it's like, yeah. So I was like, all right, what do I?
Now what?
Now what? Yeah, now what? And it's like, all right, you know what? I'll step up my game too and join you. So, because the whole thing was, I was gonna be his broker to find these, but then I was like, well, now he's gonna be more educated than I am, right? And it's like that doesn't make for a good client-broker relationship. So, but with that, by him taking that step forward, it made me want to take a step forward too. So, I say all of that to say is, part of this operation is also to inspire you all to invest in yourselves. I can't tell you how many programs Gino has invested in. You can talk with him, and I mean, look at him. He's getting deals left and right. And it's because of that. If you're wondering, hey, how could I put pieces together? The answer is always, you don't have to put the pieces together. Somebody else already put the pieces together for you. You just have, they usually won't give them to you for free, but that's okay, It's like, how many of us went to college, How much did we pay those institutions, and do we really have practical, what's your ROI on that, So that's off the soapbox. So, but that's what's happening in these 1,000 attempt weeks. See, I've got military drill here on the 3rd week of January. And this is know yourself, know what you're good at, know what you're not. Anytime I hit a week like this one, where I've got military drill, my mind, and really my time too, gets soaked up into just Marine Corps stuff. I start thinking, what is it that I need to get done? I start getting emails from the unit. I know I've got to do a brief on Sunday. I've yet to open any books on, get ready for that. So that means tomorrow I'm going to be jumping through my what to get ready for it, because I'm going to be standing in front of senior officers doing this presentation. So knowing that about myself, I said, all right, you know what? And it actually worked out pretty nice, because week 6 here is, I've got this short week where I know my mind's going to be distracted. One of my strengths are systems and analysis. So it doesn't take much brain power for me to kind of look through a system, see how it's working, see what's not working. So I was like, oh, look at that, that's perfect. So I'll take these 3 days and evaluate results, right? That was the bottom bubble of that process that I put up there, right? So there we go, nice, sweet little spot to do that. I can kind of come in and clean up with y'all and say, okay, this is what the activity we've done in the last 6 weeks. This has been the results. This is what we need to tweak. This is what we need to do different, right? All right, so again, go back to the 1,000 attempts. Now enter February. Again, beginning of February, another 1,000 records. That's the next 1,000. So the goal is I'm going to prospect 4,000 records. 1,000 records each month. That means that every 5th month, whatever, 1, 2, 3, whatever, the 5th month. So every 5th month, the people who received the mailing, they're gonna get the same mailing again, or a slightly different mailing, right? So it's not, I'm gonna send letters to 1,000 people and then forget about them. No, they're gonna get another mailing, but I'm gonna cycle through all those people. Now that has, all those models that are in here are factoring into that. As to 1,000 has always been my minimum for mailing anything. Repetition, you probably want every 3 to 4 months. So it's probably a little slower by me doing it this way. But in any case, you want to come back and you want to mail those people again, so they know you're not like a fly-by-night guy, right?
You hit them at least 5 times.
Yeah, but now for me with this method, hitting them 5 times, math in public, it's gonna take over a year, right?
You're doing it every 3 months.
Well, I've
it'll take a
heard
year and a
that.
half.
Yeah, it's gonna take me a year, and I'm doing it slower than that. So, but that has to do with just cost of mailings and how much activity I want. So, and I'll touch on that. So, my rule of thumb, I don't have the numbers for this, but a good rule of thumb is for every 1,000 prospects for direct mail, just talking direct mail. Phone calls, completely different beast. For 1,000 should get me 1 deal. With my goals, about 4 deals is gonna make me achieve them, and this is not factoring everything that we're doing together, but no, then that is going to be, that's where I came up with 4,000 records. So 4 deals, 4,000 records.
1,000 per month. I bet a week.
Well, I'm thinking 1,000, 1 deal per 1,000 records. 1 deal per 1,000 records.
So you're mailing to the same 1,000 records?
I'm mailing to the same 4,000 records, 1,000 at a time, which is 1 month at a time. So what I mailed in January is not going to be what I mailed in February.
So why wouldn't you, if your ratio is 1 per 1,000, why wouldn't you hit the same 1,000 every month until you got that first deal and then turn to the next 1,000?
So that's a great question.
Versus stretching it out.
Yeah. So you can do it both ways. So I would say I only have 2 letters, 2 marketing pieces, right? So I expect from the system a response rate of 30 to 40%. So I'd rather move on to the next group than to kind of retarget that same group and have them receive the same thing again. I'd rather have them get a different mailing the next time they hear from me, because it's not going to end on the mailing, right? So they're going to get a mailing, but they're also eventually going to get a phone call, right? So it's not just my sole method of reaching out to them isn't going to be the mailing. So it's going to be mailing before the next mailing that those people are going to would have received a phone call, even if they didn't reply back to me. Does that make sense?
No, it makes sense. It's I've heard it takes anywhere from 6 to 9 touches to get somebody to contact you.
And I'd say
so with that, it would seem to me, at least my strategy is the more times I can touch you in quicker, how that works, then the more time over a certain period of time, the quicker you either contact me or you go into you're potentially a dead lead. And then you go on to and then you go to like a bi-monthly or a quarterly mailing just to touch you once every quarter for 2 years or something.
So what I'd say to that is, given the records I'm mailing here, so this isn't going to be a very targeted list. This is similar to when I started doing vacant land, meaning here I am, if you own vacant land, or in this case, if you own self-storage, you're going to get a letter from me. There's no algorithm to it at all. You're just going to get a mailing. I think doing the monthly or the quarterly works if you're dealing with a list that is distressed in some type of way. They're behind on their payments. There's some indicator that they are motivated to do away with their property. Touching on them, I think, regularly, like you say, I think would be more valuable.
Okay.
With this one here, since you're spraying and praying, and the nature of my...
Almost like an absentee owner or equity list.
Yeah, almost, yeah. But in this one, I'm even...
Blasting to every homeowner in greater Springfield area, just to see. if
See what their
somebody's
motivation,
interested.
yeah, so that's,
Okay.
that's the thinking there.
Do you have that metric in there? Is there a metric that says who is more likely to sell or behind?
There is on Prospect Now, a resource I showed a couple of months,
Prospect
2
Now.
months, yep.
Yep.
They have an algorithm that shows who they anticipate will be a likely seller.
Really?
Yeah.
In what asset class?
All of them, all of them. Yeah, because they do
Commercial,
residential as
self-storage
well.
Who would be a likely seller?
Yes.
Really?
How accurate it is, I have no idea.
Okay, but
Yeah.
that's not what you're
Yeah.
using though. You're
No.
just-
Now, I am using that, and then we're not getting, I can touch on this side if you guys want me to, but for this operation, I'm not touching so much on my brokerage operations. But the records I pulled are in the mid-Atlantic. Just, there's 231 self-storage places in the state of Virginia, right? So, and that's 6,700. Hmm?
Seems low.
Yeah, I was very surprised. I thought I was gonna get all 1,000 right here.
Mid-Atlantic.
Yeah, but to get 6,700, I had to go Virginia, DC, Maryland, Pennsylvania, and Delaware. I wouldn't have hit, and I couldn't, and it jumped up pretty fast, but I had to include all those states in order to hit 6,700 records. Now, how I arrived at that was I pulled, so these are businesses, does everybody know what a SIC code is, SIC? Yeah, so if they register themselves as a 45, 50, whatever, the SIC code for self-storage, then that's how I pulled their record. So that's where that came from. So there may be more self-storage out there, and if they didn't list that as their primary, they didn't come up.
Yeah,
You know?
that seems awful low for the state of Virginia.
Yeah, I thought I was
200 in the greater DC area.
Oh, yeah.
Virginia,
Well, there's
greater DC.
431 in the DC market. And my intent with those will be aside, and I am gonna be looking for listings from them. So that's gonna be another different technique. If you guys want me to talk on what I do for brokerage purposes, I can add some of that. But as investors, I don't know if you really care. So I'll keep that out until the group decides, yeah, I would like to
With the
just see.
brokerage part, it actually gives you targeted information to kind of have the best odds.
Yes, and that's why I seek them for listings. See, because those 431 that I mentioned that are in the DC market, I have a lot more fidelity in the level of information I can get out of that. It's not pulled off of that 6,700 record pull that I did before. That was I had to use another system to get those records. But the 431, by way of my brokerage and my licenses and the resources I have available to me here, I can even find the owner, So, but for that, for those property owners, I'll be looking for listings from them, not necessarily being a buyer. Okay, so.
Now, the vacant land, you're looking for the vacant land so you could actually develop it into a.
No, there's people that invest in vacant land. Well, back when I was doing vacant land, I was flipping
I think I
wholesale.
misunderstood you, a few minutes ago, you were
Oh,
saying
yeah.
that when you did mailings, if you had vacant land, you were after it.
Oh, no. So yeah, so that comment was off. I was correlating how I was mailing to these records compared to how I was mailing to my vacant land records, which was similar in that I just mailed to anyone that had vacant land. Here I'm doing the same. I'm just mailing to anyone that owns self-storage.
Would that be a possibility though? I mean, if you find vacant land, I mean, they have.
Yeah, that is a
storage
possibility.
Containers and different things like that. It might not be as
Yeah.
intensive as developing apartments.
But it still is, and that's something that AJ can do, and that's the conversation we've had. But for the first 1 or 2 properties, the ideal is to find something that's already built.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because you're gonna front that cash up front and not have
Yeah.
it return. So that's the problem, because you'll run the cash flow problems
Yeah.
trying to develop it, rather than just building off something that's already there. Or-
Yeah. The ideal would be, find something for AJ. So AJ's perfect for this, right? We find a 2-acre lot that has self-storage on it, right? It's got 200 units on it, and it's only sitting on 1 acre, and it's approved to be the other is to be developed. You get that stabilized. AJ goes in there, builds 200 more units, property value goes up, right? So development is a play, but it's not an initial
Just trying to
play.
get started.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like a longer term, once you've bought it, it's more fat.
Yeah, yeah.
You can afford to float it.
Yeah.
This far.
All right, so February, again, started the same thing. Again, military drill, 9th to 11th. So going back to reevaluate results, right? Again, my brain is switching, so, and it's perfect, it's happening once a month. Go back to prospecting, and then I've got my annual training here at the last week of February into the first week of March, which means that our March Mastermind is gonna have to get moved. It's probably gonna have to get moved to the 16th, right? So through this whole time, so see, I would be done with my 12-week year, but I'm not finishing very strong because I can only imagine how much chaos is gonna be in my life as I get closer to this. So my unit does training for general level staffs. Sounds like somebody's getting in a fight out there. Yeah. All right. Well, so that's, everything's gonna slow down coming into this portion here. So I'm just gonna look at just doing education, evaluating my results, seeing what's going on. As of right now, I'm tagged to be the night shift for all that. So I went ahead and said, right, this is the time where I just kind of educate and just do that portion. And then the last week is, last couple of weeks here, that's why I extended it out to 16 weeks. I said instead of a 12-week year, let's go with a 16-week year. The big takeaway for me to you guys on this is try to keep it at 12, but if you've got legitimate reasons in your mind, right, not in my judgment, some of y'all could have called me out and be like, you could have done that in 12 weeks anyway, you're just pussing out, right? But I said, no, I think breaking it up to 16 weeks, and actually, unintentionally, it actually works out pretty neat because that is the first quarter of the year. So I can do this 4 times, at the 12-week session. I can, every quarter do a 12-week push, which is not the goal. The goal is 12 weeks hard, and then take some time off. Then you go 12 weeks hard, and take some time off. One successful commercial broker that I've read about, he will go 6 on, 6 off. So for 6 weeks, he does nothing but eat, live, and breathe his business. He's just out there making calls, whatever he's got to do, and just he knows what his energy level is. And he says about 6 weeks, he's about had it, and he pretty much almost takes 6 weeks of not necessarily vacation, but he is not anywhere near as intense as the previous 6 weeks. And that was what he found for himself worked really well. He's like, he goes 6 weeks hard, then 6 weeks he just kind of coasts. I mean, he built a lot of business in those last 6 weeks, so he's got things to do, but he's also not trying to have his business dominate absolutely everything in his life. So this is the same thing here. It's like 12 weeks.
I'm sorry. All that sounds really nice and great and everything, but then my question goes back to what Ash was asking in the first place. It's like, you said that you go so many weeks, or out of the 1,000 that you should get one deal.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, but you get that one deal, how do you finance it? Where you get that capital to get it off the ground so that you can get the second, the third deal.
Yeah. So, and then we'll see that as that goes along too. So part of
okay.
part of our system is if we get a deal that meets the criteria of the people that we bought the system from, they will actually come in and partner with us. So we get access through the system to a national investor. Second, I don't believe in no money, no credit, no job, no problem. So it's and coming into real estate investing. So we do have capital saved up amongst ourselves to be able to go into this venture. I'll have brokerage deals going in along the way, aside from all this, that'll be generating income. So financing, and then I also have, there are multiple finance, we have finance professionals in this group, people as diversified as Keon, John Rubino. So financing doesn't always come from a bank. and there are people that have different criteria for it. And just by way of networking, we have access to different methods of financing. Plus, we never know what we're gonna find in that transaction. We can, we always think, and this is gonna be part of what I'll do blogs on, is creative financing. I've already got a list of everything that I'm gonna talk on as far as creative financing. I haven't used most of them, but there's a lot of ways to buy real estate without ever going to financing, right? So, and then you don't always need a motivated seller. It just has to be worth their while. So that's the easiest way I can answer your question.
Okay.
Yep.
All right.
Yep.
I know that look, yeah. That's one of the biggest hurdles that we kind of skip over, but.
Well, let me tell you guys something.
Financing.
I'll tell you guys something. And yes, deals do fall apart because of financing. I'm not, that is a reality. But what is also reality is the money is out there.
Yes.
The money is out there.
So it depends on your exit strategy going into the deal. If your only exit strategy is I'm gonna flip it, then you have to have the money at the end of it. But if you have a deal and it's a true deal, and you get to the point that you don't have the cash to put the 10 or 20% down, and it's a true deal, there's enough investors around here, you can wholesale anything.
Yeah.
You can wholesale self-storage, you can wholesale vacant lots, you can wholesale anything as long as it's a deal.
Yeah.
And that gets back to what Gino and I talked about, that part of our focus is to build that capital and capital appreciation, and using wholesale deals to do that because it's a quicker, faster, easier, less, you're not tied up for 6 months in a flip. And that gives us then the capital to do the fixes and flips and have that money available without having to go to a private money or a hard money lender. But ultimately it comes down to, it has to be a deal. If it's not a deal, nobody's gonna buy it, nor is anybody gonna give you financing for it because it's not a deal.
Right.
If it is a deal, any investor out there
It's gonna
that's
take
a
it.
rehabber or a buy and hold investor will buy it from it for a wholesale fee.
And that is like the biggest, and that's something I'll have to work on here. And I'll tell you, I battle with it as well. But that is one of the biggest hurdles new investors have, is you have to believe, because it is true, you have to believe it, that if you have a deal, money wants to get to that deal. You will always find the money to a deal when you have a deal. And for me, I'm also, one of the reasons I got my licenses was because I was prospecting and I was passing on deals because they didn't meet that criteria. But then in my mind, and my mentor kind of pointed this out to me as I was telling him what I was doing here. He's like, yeah, but when you hit a point where you have a prospective deal and for whatever reason it doesn't work for you or you can't finance it, like, to your question, there's buyers that will, and I've got my license and I slip out as the investor, and now I'm a broker again, and I grab, a prospective client and show them, hey, here's a deal, and they'll slip in. So, but the biggest thing I definitely want to communicate is just exactly what, just pretty much reiterating what Tom said. If you've got a deal, the money's going to find it, right? If you got
It's a good problem to have a deal and not know how you're gonna buy it.
yeah.
Yeah, because at least then you have the deal.
Right.
Having the money and no deal, you just got a bunch of money burning a hole.
Yeah.
Team, I'm gonna be the contrary in the group on that, because I came up here on the same thing, just find the deal, money. The money is there, and capital is actually at an all-time high. And I'm coming from someone who wasn't doing investing and full feet in there. I really, at this point, because I'm following you too, because that's why I started something called a COCA capital, because I'm going along with our thing. So I've kind of put my pen down and pushed back from calling brokers so much right now, because I'm focusing on raising the capital and knowing where the money is. Money is there, but you do have to know somebody, or you have to be able to go somewhere. And we kind of just, and then when we say what is a deal is based on who is the one underwriting and what is a deal to whatever who's investing. So when we constantly go to this thing about, okay, well, we're doing this investing for me, but it's in special, like in commercial, it isn't for you, it's a security that's for your investors. So if Greg and Thomas like to have multifamily and Mike likes to have self-storage, but not only that, he'll do Class B, this one only wants stabilized, or this one, so it goes further on what is a deal, and what a deal is very subjective to who is the one considering a deal. Now, it always has to be at a low cost basis, we know that part, but the deal differs. A lot of the guys around here, because I work with like Michael Blank, what he calls a deal is almost like a purple unicorn. Like you can find some stuff, but what he calls in his criteria list a deal wouldn't be, you can pass up a deal from another investor just to try to meet what he wants. So that's why it's important to know who your investors are. Like, because a deal is based off who is the one that's providing the capital, what's the deal. And the banks are also going to be in this if you want to bring banks in that. So it goes further in that. So that's why right now I'm doing my investing, but a big thing is creating that investor list and knowing who, because right now I'm feeling a lot of people I'm hanging around people in Bethesda who are probably more interested, not just probably said this, in stabilized. They'll do triple net. Now that's not a deal for us because we might be thinking value add and we want an 8 cap, but they're willing to do a 5 cap if it's a triple net for a anchored retail, which is like a supermarket. And they will put 50,000, 100,000 per one, okay? So why would I chase down, I'm chasing out, well, okay, this is a deal, but this is not a deal to the people who I'm associated with, because they're stabilized, triple net, I don't care if it's a 5 cap, and I have $50,000 to move, John. You see what I mean? Mm-hmm. So I always believe right now I'm in this place where, okay, get your investors and don't just look at this like, oh, I want this, I want that. Let me establish my investor group because really I'm going to be raising for them. And I'm going to be quarterbacking a security investment, especially since it's commercial, it's going to be at least a couple million for them. And so that's why so in my 3 weeks, it's kind of like raising capital. That's why I said raising capital. What's my network? I'm looking for buyers right now, making my buyers list and doing my systems towards not just prospecting, but towards who are my people buying? Because I want to stay close to what they want.
Yeah, and I mean
that's still that part of it.
Yeah, but that's definitely a strategy in and of itself. You know, I mean that's then there's most definitely I would not even challenge in that sort of thinking. You know, I am I think more on this frame of mind, whereas I'd rather have the problem and then kind of find the people. But then I've also been in
the way John did. I mean, it's easy if it's a deal, you'll find a buyer, but you've got to.
What is the deal?
You've got to have the deal that meets that criteria.
Yeah.
A buy and hold investor is going to have a different acquisition criteria than a rehab. If you bring me a deal as a rehabber, I need 40,000 or 10%, whichever's greater, as a profit margin. Otherwise, don't even talk to me because it's not a deal to me.
Right.
But for somebody else who maybe runs a tighter profit margin, it may be a deal. So again, it gets back to what does your investor want? And then if you have that, there's enough folks out there that if you get a property and it fits those deal criteria, you can find somebody who will acquire it.
And I'd say, you know, and this is the salesman in me, in that much level of contact, some of these people are going to own multiple properties, right? So when you engage with them, you know, it's not always, you know, and then it takes up some time in sales to kind of have this light bulb go on and figure out how to do it. But being able to turn that relationship and go, okay, I'm not going to be a buyer for this guy, but I can, you know, switch it and go, okay, well, how can I help them? You know, because sometimes that person that I'm just called trying to buy their property from them can turn into my next buyer. You know, and now, you know, so it's one of those in the prospecting, you know, you'll find opportunities, right? At the end of the day, everything, and this is my, you know, aside from the Bible, my belief is with enough activity, more opportunity shows up that you didn't know was even a possibility, you know, so that you didn't even know was a possibility. But you do have to go out there and you do have to, you know, like how last week I called AJ and I told him, I was like, dude, I had to call somebody that would appreciate getting my phone call because I spent the last hour, you know, cold calling, you know, and just getting shut down.
I feel loved.
So, but, you know, over the course of that, you know, you do find opportunities, you know.
Yeah, it seems like it find you when you're up against the wall, you know, when you least expect it. just taking that action. That's what, at least what I've learned from just doing the construction business, is that, like, I've came across many hurdles that I never thought would ever exist, but I found a solution, you know, when it came down to it. And that's sort of like here, you can't be afraid of the hurdles that you gotta overcome. You'll find a way through it. You just a bunch of, you know, experience, and the more you do it, you'll learn more.
Yeah, yeah. So you just gotta believe, you know. And it's the same with me, you know. It's like I may not know the person, but my mentor Joe, you know, he's been in this business 10 years. I mean, he's done over $100 million worth of transactions. He knows some people, you know. So it's the 6 degrees is there. You probably know the people, or are you 2 levels away from knowing the people. Maybe you don't even have to prospect for them. Maybe you even have to just ask your brother or ask your sister or somebody. But you know, they're probably a lot closer to you than what you think they are. But you just have to take the activity, you know. And that's what I'm also trying to show with this. And I'm going to learn that as well, you know. Like I tell you, you know, this is part of my faith system, but it's not ingrained, you know. It's like I'm going to have to go through this with all y'all and kind of learn that myself too, you know. Like I know, because every time that I have been very, very active, I've never achieved this level of activity. But you know, when I first came on, I took Tom as my business coach. You know, most people, it takes them a couple months to get their first deal. I had my first deal under wraps in 4 months, you know. But I was very, you know, I was like this. I was just out to get it, you know. And I learned a lot of lessons the hard way. But I think what happens to us, and I'm speaking from personal experience here, is you get burned a couple times, and you're like, ooh, like I can tell you, I spent $2,000 on a mail-in, and it went to the entire state of Virginia when it was only supposed to go to 2 or 3 counties in Virginia, to people that met very specific criteria. And I can tell you why those people received those. The salesman that sold it to me never returned my phone calls. You know, it was just a mess, you know. But had that not happened, I wouldn't have learned, you know, things that I could probably talk on for an hour here, you know, just to handle things, you know. So the answers are going to be in the activity, you know, and it's as he's getting yourself out there. Even what John's saying of doing, just going out there and even asking, you know, hey, what are you interested in investing in? That's opportunities come from that, you know. It's just taking activity. So that's really the big takeaway here, you know. It's like 1 deal out of 1,000. That is accounting for the lost deals. Like I had in those 4 months, those were my big shining months, because I had never been that aggressive at business other than those 4. That really, it was a 7-month stretch, but those first 4 months were, I mean, it was pretty impressive. But it was, I had 15 offers out within 3 months, and one of them I closed on. And it was because I was new. I should have been able to close on more, because those other 15, I could have converted them, but I didn't have the experience to convert them. I was only able to convert that one, you know. So, and there are people, you know, like Mike from Michael is from the RIA. The kids is, well, he's a kid, you know, but he was a millionaire before he was 30. But I mean, he does what, over 60 deals a year. But he's a machine. Like if you were standing next to him, or if he was to walk into this room right now, everyone would know exactly what it is that he does, because he would not be quiet about it. Like he'll just, you know, and you would know exactly, and it's like, and he will get a deal out of somebody in this room, or a lead out of somebody in this room, because of how active he is. And it's just, that's how his personality is, you know. Like for me, I'm not an extrovert, but you know, when I go on task, I go on task, you know, but I come off task. He's one of those extroverts that never comes off task, you know. So it's just learning yourself, and that's where all this is too, you know. It's just learning how you're going to approach this, you know. But yeah, it's deals will be lost, but that doesn't mean that, you know, we're going to cry over spilled milk, you know. Okay, and in this month, I've got a seminar to go to, hopefully. It's TBD, the one for the group.
Yeah, I was gonna ask you about that, because, started looking at that, I thought I wanna go to the seminar with you.
Yeah, well, I can get you, we'll see if we can get you the information. It still shows as TBD. What I'm hoping is that it's not between the first
Is that
and the 10th.
It will be.
Hmm?
Is that Orlando?
Yeah,
Okay.
It will be.
yeah, because this is my luck.
That's your luck.
Yeah,
Yeah, March next, I think.
all right,
Just like you'll have military obligation when your wife did.
yeah.
Why couldn't we just go to Austin?
Actually, no. Yeah. Actually, you know what? Now that you say that, I think my drill is around the time that the doctor said the due date was. Yeah. No.
Yeah, you know you drill that far out? I don't know.
Your Facebook Live, man.
Oh, yeah, that's right. maybe I'm not. It's been so long since. Yeah. Oh, yeah. There you go. Recorded. See, I can edit that out now.
That's why I haven't said it.
All right. Well, we'll figure that out. All right. So then we're going to close out the project. And for the closeout, like I said, I'm going to take a break between the two. But the closeout is analyze all the systems, the workflows, the results, see what worked, see what didn't, and make the adjustments we need to make. And then implement those and go for the restart, right? With the new KPIs. So I have, for those, I'm a project manager by trade. That's what I'm certified in. That's how this brain works. That's a lot of how that came to be. I didn't delve into as much of, how to break down a project. But that's what I hope to do for the next iteration. Even though, because I do it kind of naturally, but I want to be even more methodical for the next iteration. This one is just, there's been learning curves left and right, other than real estate, that I've had to deal with to put this together. All right, so, oh man, that's pretty freaking sweet. I'm like 10 minutes away from our drop dead time. Yeah, but does anybody have any questions with anything that we covered tonight? Yeah, did everybody enjoy tonight? Get something out of it? Awesome. So, with